I'd like to call the June 21st, 2018 Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting together. If you would, please bow and pray with me. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the gifts we receive. We ask that you watch over the men and women who serve in our armed forces, as well as all of our emergency responders. I ask for wisdom and understanding for this court. Grant us humility in our everyday life, and give us the courage to make right decisions for our Daviess County community. We ask all these things in your name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and once again I want to welcome everyone to our June 21st, 2018 Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting. Jenny, isn't this the first day of summer?
It is.
The longest day of the year?
My brother's birthday.
And your brother's birthday. What's his name?
Philip Crabtree.
Happy birthday to you, Philip. So, you ready?
I am. First item, consideration for presentation, A, Treasurer's Report for May 2018.
Mr. Hendricks.
Cash balance into May is $31,732,348. The general fund is $13,180,257. It's 11 months into the fiscal year. All funds are operating within the anticipated level. I have nothing further to report.
Commissioners, this is just a report. There's no vote on it. This report is on file in the court's offices. If anyone has any questions or would like to see it, you're welcome to come and make that request. Next item.
Item 2, consideration for approval, A, minutes of the June 7th, 2018 court meeting.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Commissioners, you've all had a copy of the minutes in your hands for some time. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 2A, all claims for all departments.
Motion approved. Second.
I have a motion and second. Again, Commissioners, you've all had a copy of the bills due and payable by Daviess County Fiscal Court in your possession. Any question of the Treasurer at this time? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
C, budget transfers for fiscal year ending June 30, 2018.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Mr. Hendricks.
This is the second round of budget transfers. As you know, we cannot have a line item where the actual amount exceeds the budget, so I have to move the money where one's under. We'll move the money around to one that's over so that we don't violate that rule. This does not increase the budget. The budget number would be exactly the same as it was prior to the budget transfer. And does, so it's not extra cash, not extra budget. It's again, this is the second round, so there's not as many. I need approval to transfer $101,210 of the general fund, $51,800 from the road fund, $3,300 from the jail fund, and $44,100 from the solid waste operating fund.
Commissioners, any question or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
D, order of allowance to the Board of Assessment Appeals.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. Jim, are you going to explain what we do here?
Yeah, this is these people, the 4 that are listed are eligible to receive $100 compensation for serving on that assessment board. State pays one half, Daviess County pays the other half. So I recommend approval.
Question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
E, salary schedule effective July 1, 2018.
Motion approved. Second.
I have a motion and second. Mr. Hendricks.
The salary schedule, the court restates that to be effective July 1 of every year. It incorporates the COLA and any changes that the court wishes to make. I would recommend approval.
Question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
F, parking lease agreements with the City of Owensboro for 212 through 216 Allen Street and Davis Street parking garage.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. Mr. Hendricks.
These 2 agreements are with the city. They're effectively raising the parking spots from $30 to $40. these are really not just fiscal court employees, they're AOC employees to which the courts reimbursed. The agreements are in order and the numbers are correct. I recommend approval.
Question or comment, commissioners? So the increase in salary, these are reimbursable items that
I think there's only one in here that's not, but the rest of them are all reimbursed,
Okay.
yes.
If there are no question or comment, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
G, Resolution 9, 2018, supporting the transfer of ownership and maintenance of sections of right-of-way of Worthington Road and Old Calhoun Road from the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet.
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion and second. Mark, are you going to talk about this?
I will. This is a standard procedure by the Highway Department when they do their construction projects. A lot of time it affects county or local roads. They have to modify those roads. In this instance, they're referring to when they built the roundabout on Kentucky 81 and 56, they had to modify Worthington Road, which is a county road. And what they're asking for is when the process starts, if we'd be willing to take over that new right-of-way that Worthington Road, a county road, is on. And they're also referring to Old Calhoun Road. The current project they're working on now, they will be adding, I think, some right turn lanes and doing some modification at that intersection. They're asking if we are willing to accept that new right-of-way that Old Calhoun will be on once that project is done.
Your
Recommend approval.
Recommend approval. Commissioners, any question or comment? Public, any question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
H, petition to discontinue the section of Pleasant Valley Road beginning at the city limits of Owensboro and ending at the dead end for a distance of 0.103 miles, and a section of Old Lee Rudy Road beginning at Gradway and ending at the dead end for a distance of 0.161 miles.
The, Claude, before we do anything, we don't need a motion and a second on this. This in effect will be an ordinance, come back as an ordinance, so this is just for discussion and approval, okay? Mark, tell us a little bit about this one.
This is a petition to discontinue like you said, these two roads. The first one, Pleasant Valley Road, it was cut off by the US 60 extension the Highway Department did several years ago and still kind of finishing up. I believe there's two adjoining property owners, one resident. I do not believe it serves a public need or helps in any way the public network. Claude may be a better one to discuss the...
Let's just stop there for just a second. Commissioners, anyone have a question on the Pleasant Valley Road portion?
I have a question, Judge.
Okay.
Would that be discontinued? So we don't put any rock on or anything, be up to that homeowner to take care of the driveway?
Technically, we're not discontinuing the road. We're discontinuing maintenance.
Yes, okay.
So it's still open to the public?
Yes.
For public use?
Right.
Okay.
We just will no longer pave it or maintain it
Okay.
or anything, so they will have access to it.
Right, okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone in the audience? Yes, sir. Would you come forward and identify yourself, and you're welcome to speak.
My name is Charles Evans. I am a landowner there on Pleasant Valley Road. So my question pertaining to that section of farmland, I heard what Mr. Porter said, that ownership is not changing, but maintenance is becoming null and void. Now, I think we're talking about the 3 acres that just got rezoned last Thursday from agriculture to B4, and I think we're talking about the road that went up to the old Marvin Smothers house. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct.
Okay. And it is now owned by the Smothers family, known as Angus Hills Farms, LLC.
I believe so.
Okay. So my question is then, do the adjoining landowners have the right to buy that land back? Is the county going to declare it as surplus or excess land, giving the property owner adjacent property owner to the right to buy it back.
Right, go ahead, Claude.
We do not own any of that land. And the discontinuance of the maintenance, if it's a public road, does not change ownership of any land, but if the right-of-way would revert to the owners by law.
Why do you say we don't own any of that land?
The county had never received any deed to that property, so we don't own any of that property.
I'm talking about the old straight section of Pleasant Valley
None
Road.
of the road, the county does not own the property under the road. Those are basically right-of-ways. Once the maintenance is discontinued, the road does not disappear, or whatever else is there. This procedure does is discontinue the county's obligation to maintain that road or that right-of-way.
I think, and if I might, we have discontinued maintenance on some roads and maintained the public's right to use the right-of-way, but on some roads, we have discontinued maintenance, and I think what this gentleman is wanting to know, what would be the procedure for the adjoining property owners to gain the title to that property, to that road
Well,
property?
they really need to talk to an attorney about doing that and deciding whether you can or whether and to whom you would look to get that property.
Well, I think they would look to the county.
No, we do not own, we have no title to that property. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We do not have title.
Okay.
Once this is done, it reverts to whoever the owners were at the time, or whoever the owners were, according to law.
So it goes to old surveys, Mark, help me out here, that were worded to the center line of the road. David, is that the type of thing that we're dealing with, old surveys?
I would refer back to the county attorney.
178, 116, subsection 3, let's see, subsection 2. If it's necessary, if the only condition which exists is necessary access for a private person, by a joint petition of all the parties entitled to access, the road can be discontinued and possession reverts to the owner or owners of the tract of land to which it originally belonged.
So what I hear you saying is we have no ability or authority to do that ourselves, that we discontinue maintenance. It still is a public right-of-way.
We can give you what we have,
Yeah.
something that says we'll transfer every right of ownership that we have in it, which we believe is none.
But at the same time, I think what he's saying is you would have to hire a private attorney
Yes.
to make that investigation. If there's anything that we could do to help,
We'll do that.
we would do that.
Okay, well, I own land on the other side of the bypass, and I've already talked to Mark about this. He's grinning, I guess, but, you know, the state came in and bought 9 acres and made Pleasant Valley Road a curved road. Now then, at the request of Gulfstream, they've gone back and made that a 90-degree corner with a stoplight. So I went to State Highway Department in Madisonville and talked to Mr. Joe Kelly, the attorney for the State Highway Department, and you're rolling your eyes. I said, what can I do to buy back the land that we once owned? And he said it has to be declared excess land. So I'm working on that. But now I'm asking questions because, you know, this is a somewhat similar case on the other side of the bypass, but not because you're saying the county doesn't own the land, and I can use some enlightenment and help here from the powers that be. And so, I mean, is that the procedure you understand, Mr. Porter?
And the procedure, the one that you're asking about,
On the other side of the bypass, my
I don't know
land?
anything about the other side of the bypass, so I'm not sure what you're asking me. And because that's not part of ours or part of where we are, I'm not sure I can tell you properly. If it's a landlocked area, that would be one of the questions. Did it belong to the state? That would be the next question. Who owned the land before the title was changed or the road was done? Unless did you transfer anything to the state or to anyone else?
Yes, I mean,
Okay.
it was.
If you transferred it, then if there's a deed transferring it, then there's a process that you'd have to go through to get that property back from the person or entity to whom you transferred it.
I understand. The state got it by the right of eminent domain.
If they got it, they own it,
They own it.
they would have to.
Now then, the road is changed again, and that's what we're dealing with, a change in the lay of the road on Pleasant Valley Road. And I was wondering how to go and what's going to happen.
All right. On this part of it, all I can tell you is the statutory authority says that once the county discontinues maintenance on the road, anyone else can ask for it to be discontinued, to be used, but when it's discontinued or maintenance is discontinued, it reverts to the owners, to the original owners, according to law. Now,
I think what I hear Claude saying, Mr. Evans, is you need to
yeah,
contact your attorney. Claude, I'm sure we would be happy to work with you in any way to accomplish what you're trying to do, but it's not something that we can do specifically.
we don't have any authority by law to transfer anything to you.
Right.
And I'm not asking, I understand I need to contact my attorney. I just wanted to know kind of what this legal procedure was.
Which legal procedure?
This one right here on Pleasant Valley Road, I understand you're dealing with land that you don't own title to.
What we're doing tonight is simply this. We're saying that's a public right-of-way. We're not going to change that, but we are no longer going to spend any public money maintaining that right-of-way. So if it's asphalt and the asphalt crumbles to rock and it gets potholes and all those things in it, we will not
do that.
spend any money on it. And is it in the road index, Mark?
This Pleasant Valley, actually, when the road changed, mile markers changed, that's what we're trying to do is clean this up.
Okay, so, and if it's not, it will not be in our road index any longer, which by state law, if a road is not in the road index, we cannot spend any money on the maintenance of that road.
Okay.
So that's what we're trying to do is save the Daviess County taxpayers any money for maintaining a road, which essentially is a driveway goes up to a house, a single house.
Okay.
I'm not trying to be obtuse,
No.
but that's just where we are, and that's the procedure that the law provides us to do, and that's what we're following.
And that's fine, I understand that.
And if we can help you any, we're happy
And
to.
I have a somewhat different situation across the bypass.
That's a
You are
completely
following the
land
right
on Pleasant Valley
process.
Road, because it involves state right-of-way.
Yeah.
Right.
You are following the right process for the other side. You are following the right process for the other side that you're
Right.
addressing, dealing with the highway department and their legal team. That's correct. He will guide you through that process.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Any other question or comment by the public? Okay, Mark, you wanna go ahead and talk about Lee Rudy, and then we'll ask Claude, or Claude, do you just wanna take it over?
It's no different, Judge. We are discontinuing any maintenance. We've never had any maintenance on that road. There's no public need served by that road, nor has it been maintained or policed by the county within the last 3 years.
Was the road ever in the road index?
It was not.
Okay, which means that by law.
We cannot
had
maintain it.
no authority to spend any money. And we're just trying to, these two are just
It will
two
remain
of
a public road
a public right-of-way.
or public
Right.
right-of-way.
Okay. All right, I think we have one person in the audience that might want to talk about it. Mr. Clark?
Thank you, Mayor. County Judge Executive, Automatic, thank you very much.
Would you identify yourself?
I will, I'll give you a long version of it. My nickname, and I go by business-wise, is Tony Clark. My legal name is Gerald Anthony Clark. And I represent, as well as my wife, a company called CTC Investments LLC. And I'd like to add to that we own a numerous amount of properties in Owensboro, Kentucky, and our tax base is very heavy. This evening, I want to clarify, I am represented by legal, who's not here. David Reynolds, let the record show that David Reynolds is my attorney. He's involved in Interstate 24 outside of Chattanooga. They had the roads all tied up for hours down there, so that's why he's not here. So I'm speaking on my behalf, but all that David Reynolds is my legal counsel, and my counselor. It appears to me that, I'll back up a little bit. For those who do not know this story, I've been involved in this building, and this land, and this road since 1997. Excuse me, Claude, but I'm going to back up a minute. That road was a county road, and it was on the record for years. In 1964, the bypass, the US 60 bypass, we know, came through and cut that road in half. I would ask a question. I'm dealing with the east side of Lee Rudy Road, east side of the bypass. Can someone tell me if the west side of Lee Rudy Road, the west side of the bypass, has been closed or abandoned or not maintaining?
County engineer.
The west side of the bypass, what is referred to as the bypass, is an open Daviess County maintained road.
That
And
is correct.
It is in the road index.
It is.
When did the road index come into existence?
1988 was the first edition
In
of the road.
1988, my understanding is that the county, all roads that.
Any road in which the county was required to maintain must have been on the index in 1988. This was not on the index in 1988.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Clark.
This road has never been closed, and no formal action has ever been taken. I want to add a personal thought. It appears to me that this gesture, which I think, by the way, not to be disrespectful, but it's already been done behind closed doors here. The decision. But I want you to understand that what you're doing or attempting to do is to take making marketable developmental property less developmental. So to add to that, Mr. Bratcher states in the Messenger Inquiry in September the 29th of 2012, this is just information only, the Daviess County Road Department maintains 672 county roads and streets that cover 557.8 miles. Information only. I travel Daviess County roads a lot. I mean a lot. And I can take you to the roads in East County, the West County, that literally have zilch traffic on, okay? Literally. I'm not going to get into that tonight. I'm not prepared for that. But I've been on them, and I can tell you that they do exist. I bought the property with the ideal of putting on 240 units, a luxury apartment complex. I'll just scan it for the public, but not for public record at this point. I laid it out. I had it ready to go. I went to Cincinnati, Zion, and all, did my homework, was laying out 240 units. And they would be first class, much like they're building on 54 now, okay? But I think are pretty nice from the group from Bowling Green. They would have garages, carports, volleyball, sand, everything. The places to wash the cars, all of the above. I was going forward on this, and Jim Riney, the county engineer at that time, not county engineer, excuse me, Jim Riney, the registered surveyor, I looked and he drew up various proposals and all that. I've got drawings and other things involved. But I laid it out to put 240 units right there. Everything in life is supply and demand, okay? At the same time, or shortly thereafter, before I got my deal put together, over on 231, I forgot the name, maybe George, you may remember this, but not Royal Arms, but the yellow apartments, Michael, they have a name. Anyway, on 230, I got the wind that the Clark boys were going to put that complex together. And I'm smart enough to know that you can't have too much, because that's called supply and demand, and then you get too much supply and your demand's gone. Careful on that on everything, even today, by the way. So I shelved that at that time, okay? Chose not to go forward. Through the years, I have had several opportunities. One of them was the next level, which went out on Salem Road. I was dealing with, I believe it might have been, I can't remember who it was right offhand, but the long story short, they required, okay, so they wanted They've had to have, they wanted, would you believe they want the bypass? Why would they want that bypass down there on the far end, the west side of the property, of my property? Why would they want that west side? They wanted the big building. They wanted a building there on the bypass on the end. Long story short, they didn't want to buy all the property. One of their contentions were they had to have a driveway access off the East Lee Rudy Road. Now, I've gone from thinking apartments, I could sell it today or tomorrow, any day I wanted to, from the builders, or I could build myself. Not my intention. But I'm looking for something like Bobby Whitmer says on the airport, you know, on the airport board, something that's going to come in and make jobs, okay? And so what I'm looking for is maybe a just-in-time distribution center, possibly, that'll connect to the airport and get on the big jet planes and haul them off. I'm looking for something that's going to create jobs. Mark Bratcher was there in Alfred last week. You all determined we might have 25 jobs at the fruit processing plant. And by the way, thank you all for coming. I appreciate that. But having said that, what you're doing economically is you're making a piece of property less desirable. If you don't think that's still not a road, why don't you ask this man who got killed in the wreck down there? Man killed in a wreck near Greenbelt. He took the end of that road. It says Grad Way, by the way. Here's the paper. The paper is dated March the 24th, 2018. Wow, that wasn't just a couple of days before we had the ruling that's the findings of fact on the conclusion of the law judgment that is a county road, okay? I mean, you got the copy. You got the same copies I have. That man was killed. You think he didn't think that was a road? Now, regardless of how he got killed or what the intent, whatever it was, he died on what the newspaper described as Grad Way. Through the years, you probably don't realize this, but through the years, most people in Daviess County realize and know that Grad Way, that old road, whatever it is, that is all the Greenbelt. That is all of the Greenbelt. I got news for you. The Greenbelt goes in the woods, 2 trails, and it goes across the west end of the property that we own on Lee Rudy Road. We bought the property in 1997. At the year end of 97, it conveyed roughly 6/10 of an acre for the Greenbelt. So the Greenbelt has its road through the woods, okay, to the end and back out. You can ask anybody you want to ask. Just stop by there sometime. Just ask them. Talk, and they say, isn't this wonderful to have the Greenbelt to have right here? Pardon me, nobody's ever paid for my half interest in that Greenbelt.
I assume that you're here to protest.
No, I'm speaking for the Daviess County, for the citizens of Daviess County, and trying to wind up, you're trying to cut me short, Alfred, you know what it is when we assume. But the reality of it is...
Never made me one of them. Other people who take too long, it does.
Right, yeah, Alfred and I go back a long time ago. But the reality of it is that it is taking that property so to make it less desirable, okay? Because I need that to get in onto it. Need that to get in.
Don't you have access from Grad Way on that piece of property?
There is one access from Grad Way.
Yeah. I mean, Grad Way, how long does Grad Way run?
800 foot.
County
800 foot.
Well, is it 800 foot, Tony? And I believe you. So it runs, so you have an opportunity to access that property for an 800 foot stretch.
Down to...
Who maintains that?
The city does. It belongs to the city.
Grad Way?
Yeah, Grad Way.
Grad Way is a Daviess County maintained road.
Oh.
No, it's not. It's a
Grad
city.
maintains? Oh.
It's city maintained. That property, I signed the papers for it. Would Jatan request to me?
No, you signed the
Renaming
papers.
of the road,
I signed the consent to move it into the city. That property is in the city.
Well,
Okay,
either way, my
almost
point,
done
my
because I know
point-
you want to go in for
my
fried chicken,
point-
mashed potatoes, and gravy. Go
My
ahead.
point, Mr. Clark, is that, and if you want to call me Al and I'll call you Tony, that's how
I like
know you
Al.
anyway.
I like
Yeah.
Al. I like Tony. I like your wife
My
better than I do
point
you.
is, you still have access, and most of the time when you develop a piece of property, you don't get to access it from every point on the road anyway. That's number one. Number two, you would still have access on this public piece of property.
Yes.
We're just not gonna maintain it. If you wanted to maintain it, he certainly, I would assume, would have the right to do what is required of most developers, which is to develop roads,
Sure.
pave them, and then ask that they be taken into the county if they're built to county specification. The fact that you own the property in 97, did I hear you say in 97?
Correct, uh-huh.
By law, and I understand what you talk about, the courts, and that's what, I'll let Mr. Porter talk about it, but we had probably three options there. We could either accept the court's ruling, and we felt the court was wrong, or we could appeal the court's ruling, which was going to take a lot of time and cost a lot of money, or we could do, as the judge suggested, go through the proper procedure to discontinue that road. Now,
Discontinue the maintenance
the
of that
maintenance
road.
of the road. Now, since it was never accepted into the county road index, we feel and felt that we had a strong case that it was never a county road.
If it's
And
never,
the fact that you brought up we were in high school in 64, 65 when the bypass cut it.
correct, went right through there.
And it was a dead end to nothing at the time. There would have been no reason for us to have accepted it as a county road.
If it's never taken out of the county road system.
That's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing now, except, I
That's why I'm
understand.
here.
Understand, it never was in the county road
It
system.
was in the county road system.
Well, that's.
Prior
an
to
argument.
1964, definitely.
That's an argument that we can go back and forth on, and that's an argument that
Sure.
we're trying to remedy
Sure.
here. Do you have anything else that, now we will have an ordinance?
Yes.
So you would have an opportunity if you wanted to bring, Mr. Reynolds?
He'll be here.
Yeah,
He'll come
and back to
Yeah,
make those
And I
arguments.
understand this, I understand the procedure tonight.
Right.
I just want to reiterate, the system is just as good as the system is.
Mm-hmm.
When all decisions are done behind the back door,
Well, let me just stop you there. I take exception to that. There's been no decision made.
Why am I here?
That decision will be made out front by a vote of this court, where citizens will be allowed to input. I've not talked to anybody anywhere, and I don't think these commissioners will say that. I have talked to council, I've talked to the engineer. So for an implication to be made that we've already decided what's gonna happen but by our petition, by our move
Yeah.
we feel strongly on the recommendation of the engineer that it's the right decision for the Daviess County taxpayer. So,
could well be, may not be, by the way, may
well,
not.
that's fine. I
Yeah.
appreciate your comments and look forward to you coming with your attorney. Do you have anything else that,
Yeah,
okay, well, let's wrap it up.
okay, I've got an hour for my chicken's dinner, it's ready. Okay, so here's, first of all, they made the decision, and so the reason why, that somebody has talked about this, otherwise we wouldn't be come back out here to go against the court system
Well,
on
do
it.
you understand that we have discontinued maintenance on many roads in the
I
past?
understand that, and I've seen them chopped and cut up out there, out on Hills Bridge Road, all the farmers cut them through, I see the land, I've seen them all cut up and chopped, I've seen them cut up, and Bob Steele had to put the road back in right down here on West 60.
And do you understand that we will be bringing, the engineer has more roads that he's recommending because they provide nothing. When you talk about a transportation network means that road gets you to another road somewhere. It goes to a dead end. The guy got killed out there probably because he went down a dead end road and crashed.
True.
I mean, so the implication that it's a county road because somebody got killed on it just doesn't fly.
Well, the reality of it, though, is this property is not normal property. If you go out to a farmer's field and cut through the middle, nobody's using it, cut it off if that's the proper procedure. But I contend, and I'm gonna wrap up, I contend that this property is not the normal property. It has sewers on the property. It can create as much as, God knows what, 200 jobs, like the fruit company gonna do 25 or 30. It can wind up produce 25 or 30 jobs. It may produce 250. I have talked to numerous people, and it's not hardly a month that I don't go by that I don't get some level of inquiry about the property. And I'm praying for Daviess County and Owensboro, myself, my wife, that something good does come out of
I'm
this.
praying that you're very successful in marketing that property
know if I'm
and
gonna be
creating
so-
those jobs. I mean,
Yeah, well,
that's what we all want.
And that's why I'm here.
And at that time, as the developer of that property, you'll probably be required to provide the access to that
Well,
property.
I don't intend to develop it,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna tell you up front.
Okay.
But I don't want it to have it where it is
Sure.
detracted and taken away at that point in time. But I do reiterate to you that I'm a good citizen, my tax base is high. I respect you, I expect that the same in reverse. Thank you all, ladies and
Okay,
gentlemen.
thank you, Tony. Appreciate it. Any other comment from the public? Commissioners, any of you have a comment? Claude?
No, Judge, I do not.
So, this, going forward, I think the next couple of things we'll talk about will apply to these two roads. So go ahead, Jenny.
I appoint viewers to view the above section or the prior mentioned section of Pleasant Valley Road.
Motion
And
approved.
this requires a motion.
Motion approved.
Okay, I have a motion, and I have a second. Do we have those viewers, Jenny? Do you know who the viewers are?
Yeah, they're listed in
Okay,
this.
those are in the east.
Carl Raymond and Gary Montgomery.
Okay, those are in the east, and those viewers, Mr. Engineer, would you talk about what they're gonna be looking for?
Yes, what I will do is make contact with each viewer, schedule a time to take them out there together, and we'll discuss the road, let them see the road, let them see the area, and we will come back and write a report that will be given to fiscal court.
Okay. Any other question, any comment? Okay, all those in favor, do we need to name those viewers tonight?
Yeah, I just.
Oh, did you, who were, oh, that's right, Carl Raymond and
Gary Montgomery.
Gary Montgomery. Okay, and those were submitted by Commissioner Koger. He is the East Commissioner, and that's where the road lies. So, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
J, appoint Vince Wink and Smokey Malay to view the section of Old Lee Rudy Road.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. That road is in the West District. Commissioner Wathen submitted those names. Any question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
K, purchase 4 30 cubic yard open top roll-off containers from municipal equipment per state bid.
Motion approved.
I have a motion second. David?
Yes, as you recall, last meeting, we accepted a grant from the Kentucky Pride Fund for 4 roll-off recycling trailers, or, sorry, 4 recycling roll-offs at our West Davis County landfill, and so this will go through the purchase.
Was there a match to that grant?
Yes, I think we're, what, a 25% match.
75, 25? And since we're using the state bid list, that suffices for us going out and,
Yes.
Jenny, do you need to go? Yeah. Okay, any other question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
L, award bid number 13, 2018, Yellow Creek pedestrian bridge replacement for parks.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Commissioner Wathen, that sounded like a reluctant move to approve.
Kind of a painful motion.
Mark, do you want to, no, I guess it was Jordan, and I think you're going to defer to Mark, right?
Yes,
Mark,
sir.
talk to us about it.
Where's the park?
Fiscal.
Ross is here. This is a replacement bridge structure for the Yellow Creek Park. It's the second one. It was in need of replacement before, and then we had the floodings earlier spring, and it received more damage. That bridge has been closed currently for a couple months, 2 months. We've had it designed, had permits submitted and approved, and went to bid with this bid from Scott and Murphy of $187,745 as the lowest and best evaluated bid. Okay. I would recommend approval.
Ross, you're the director of the parks. Tell us why this bridge, I mean, that's a lot of money to be spending on the bridge. How did that compare to the bridge that we spent on the other end of the park?
The specific location of the existing bridge, it's closed, is on a area of Yellow Creek that is going to be very difficult to be able to access.
Wetlands,
Correct.
down in creek bottom and that.
We are unable to use any of the county's equipment to be able to even remove the existing structure, and a temporary crossing has to be constructed just west of the existing iron bridge that's in the park now, just to set a crane to swing and to be able to get the wooden bridge out of the way.
So this is an unusual, very unusual situation.
Correct.
Mark, do you remember what that, can you answer the question I asked him that he didn't
I believe
answer?
it was about just over $100,000
So
for
we
that other
replaced
bridge.
the one down near Reed Road for about $100,000.
Sure.
And so that's kind of the value that we used when we talked about this.
Correct.
But this is nowhere near or like that bridge. And it's part of that trail, and I think a lot of people really enjoy the trail there at Yellow Creek. As a matter of fact, I've had a couple of calls from folks because the bridge had been closed and was damaged. So, Commissioner Wathen, any question, comment? Your liaison to the parks?
No, I'm okay with it. I've discussed this in great length with the engineer and
Okay.
parks director, and it's a very expensive bridge, but I think in the end it's worth it. So why I said painful, because it's so expensive.
Yes. Any other question or comment? Question or comment by the public? Ross, I was told that your budget can handle the extra money, so we're going to cut $87,000 out of your next year's budget because it must be too inflated, right?
Before we let him
Oh,
off
do
the
you
hook,
have somebody?
he has
with
somebody to introduce, I think.
you? Yeah.
Judge, I'd introduce my daughter, Ashton. She's a new 7th grader at Burns Middle School, 12-year-old, and she's our youngest of 3.
All right. Well, Ashton, we don't want him to introduce you. Come on up and say a word or two, okay?
All you have to say is hi.
Yeah.
Say hi, Judge.
Hi, Judge.
Hey, Ashton, how are you doing? Well, welcome to fiscal court tonight. We hope we didn't bore you.
Oh.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Ross. Any other question or comment?
Just, she won't be back.
Maybe one day as a partner.
Well, maybe, hey, when we try to close the road going to her house, she might come back and raise Cain with us. So, all right. Any other question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ross.
M, advertise bid number 15, 2018, one new compact track loader for the landfill. Bid number 1618, one new wheel tractor scraper for the landfill.
Move to approve.
Second. I have a motion. Second. David, tell us what we're doing. These are big boy toys that have in a
Well, one of them is.
Yeah.
The first one, the new compact track loader, is also from last meeting. It is, we call them Bobcats,
Right.
skid steer loader. It is part of the grant we received from the Kentucky Pride grant for composting. So we will start using it instead of our large backhoe to load up compost. The last one, the wheel tractor scraper, that is a big piece of equipment. And the one, it is going to replace one that I believe is a 1991 model.
That's the one that we have to take a dozer and
We have to
pull
take a
it.
dozer to
Yeah.
push it to
Okay. Yeah.
pull the dirt up. So
Both items are in the budget.
yes, sir.
Okay. Any question or comment? This is only permission to bid. Once we get the prices, then we will come back to court for approval. If there is no other question or comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
N, surety bond release, Unit 1, Whispering Meadows, and Section 3, Whispering Meadows Meadow Run.
Motion approved. Second.
I have a motion second. Mr. Brasher.
Judge, the developer has completed some work for Whispering Meadows Unit Number 1. He did some extensive cleaning on a concrete ditch, so he has asked for release of the surety of that concrete ditch. If you'll notice that the overall net is going to go up $1,972 because of the price, and sidewalk has changed since it was posted. I recommend approval on that. The other one is for unit number 3, I believe. Section 3 of Whispering Meadows. He completed asphalt resurface this spring. It's been inspected, and I recommend approval of that also.
Okay. Question or comment by the commission? Just one comment here. I'm glad to see that you guys are continuing to review these sureties and increase them as the cost of those various items, construction items, increase. If there's no other question or comment, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Hire Kevin Payne as a transfer station truck driver effective June 18, 2018.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. David, this is a hire. I assume it's in the budget.
It is in the budget, sir.
Okay, any question or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
3, consideration for appointment A and B, Brooklyn Maple to the Owensboro Davis County Convention and Visitors Bureau, representing the Restaurant Association. Brian Smith, also to the same board, representing Hotel Motel Association. Both terms begin 6/30/18 and expire 6/30/2021.
Move to approve.
Second?
I have a motion second. In a minute, I'm going to have our liaison to the CVB introduce the director. And I just want to make some comment. Number one, about Larry Kirk. Larry served two terms representing the Restaurant Association. Larry did a super job. Commissioner, I know that you served as liaison, and I think you would agree. Larry did a really great job.
Absolutely.
On that board. And then Ruth Ann Dearness, she represented the Hotel Motel Association. Ruth Ann was a trooper, did everything that she could to make sure that the CVB not only represented the city and hotels, motels, but represented the community and the region. So I really want to thank those two folks for their time serving the community. Now, Commissioner, I'm going to turn it over and let you talk about, or introduce your guests and talk about the two that we're going to appoint.
Well, I just want to mention myself that I want to thank publicly Larry Kirk and Ruth Ann Dearness, because, as you said, they did an outstanding job. And then now we want to introduce Mark Calitri, who's going to talk to us a little bit about these two people we're nominating.
And Mark's that dude that came from northern Kentucky, Cincinnati area to take over the operation of the CVB, right?
1 year. Been here 1 year.
Has it been 1 year?
Gone by fast.
Seems like a lot more.
Gone by fast. What I'd like to do maybe next month after my July board meeting, I'd like to come back, and after I present it to my board, I'd like to present to the commissioners our marketing plan for the next year and kind of do a year-end review. But kind of a synopsis of what we're going to tell you about then is it's been a busy year this year, but the future really looks bright. And with the convention center sales, the next 3 years are going to be record-breaking years. We've got the All-A State Baseball Tournament coming up in May here in Owensboro and Davis County. And also, starting next year, we're going to be the host for all of the 2H state championship sports. So a lot of big stuff happening. We've got our sports study coming out next month. So with all that happening, it's now more than ever, these board appointments are more crucial. And so what we were really looking for were candidates that had business experience, people that were really connected to Owensboro and Davis County, and also people that were high enough in their organization where they could make decisions and they could see the big picture and not get tied up into the weeds. So that's kind of what we were looking for. And I'm really happy with the appointments that we're going to make, Judge and Commissioners, because I think you've checked off all of those boxes. Brooklyn Maple is traveling for work tonight, but with Kentucky Legend and her company so involved in Owensboro and Davis County. She worked for Royal Caribbean Cruise Line in Miami, Florida. She's traveled throughout the country at other jobs. She was born and raised in Evansville, so she's connected to this community. She just bought a home with Jago Homes, so I think she'll be here for a while, and I think she'll be what we need on our board. And also, I'm glad to have Brian Smith here with us today, and he would like to say a few words. And hopefully you see as he talks and introduces himself, he is high enough in his organization, he can make decisions, and I think he can see the big picture. Former board chair, I think he checks off all those boxes. So.
Well, Mark, thanks for coming. Just know that you're always welcome to come back and make a report or talk to us about CVB. We're kind of different here. We don't demand people. We appoint good people to boards and then we let them do their thing. And that's what I think we should be doing. But anytime that the CVB wants to talk to us about the community, we're absolutely delighted to have you, as long as you keep it under 5 minutes. Brian, get up here. We had the opportunity, I'll give him a plug, we had the opportunity to go out with the chamber yesterday and cut a ribbon at the Diamond Lake Resorts in the outskirts of the metropolis of West Louisville.
Yes.
And Brian, didn't you say that there are only, what was it, 8 or 10 commercial drift trikes?
9.
Nine in existence?
9,
and you have them all?
I have them all,
You
yes.
have them all, plus the prototype of the one.
That's correct.
But I would encourage folks, if you haven't seen this, go out and look. I made the commissioners leave because I couldn't afford to have them ride those drift trikes, break an arm and a leg, and me not have them here. I'd have to do all the work, so.
Judge, I can't afford to have them break an arm and a leg either.
Well, Brian, it is, I'm going to let you talk, but it really is a delight to have you come back. Brian gave us 4 years of his time and talent and expertise originally, and took a little vacation and worked in his business, and now has decided it's time to get involved in the community again. So, Brian.
Well, and I appreciate the invitation to come back. I'm honored and feel privileged to be included once again on the board. As you know, tourism is my business, so it's a pretty good fit there. And I look at the dais and everybody in the room, and everybody's a familiar face, and I'm better friends with some than others, but I think it's really going to be exciting to go forward and hopefully make a difference. But this is my home, and it's an honor to serve. So.
And who did you tell us the real brains of the outfit was yesterday? I think she was standing next to.
Yes, she's a little short lady that's got a really strong right cross. So I don't say bad things about her, but no.
Her name's not Judy, is it?
No, it's Janice, but it's very close. Yeah. It's very close. But anyway, thank you very much for including me.
Well, thank you very much for being willing to come back and contribute to the community. Thank you. Commissioner, anything else you want to say?
No, just welcome.
Any of the other commissioners?
Just thank you, Brian, for agreeing to come back.
We also went out there for a special reason. It wasn't the drift trikes, it was the meal at Preservation Station. I knew that. You did. Okay. So we have a motion and second. Any other comment or question? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
C. Randy Jones to the Dental Clinic, term 7/1/18 to 7/1/2020. Yours reads 21, but the accurate
2020
is 2020.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion second. Commissioners, I want to thank Meehan Farrison for serving one term. Appreciate her time and commitment, and I know that Mr. Jones will do a good job going forward. If you know anything about the dental clinic, that's one of those things that there are places for folks to get medical care, but there are very few places in this community for people to get dental care. And I have seen a lot of those clients go through there, and it's supported by a lot of the dentists in this community, by a lot of churches and individuals, as well as this fiscal court. It's a very worthy commitment. I want to thank Mr. Jones. Any other question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
4, consideration for discussion. A, other business be brought before the Daviess County Fiscal Court, and I am not aware of any.
Our streak continues.
B, public comments.
This is a time during which we invite the public to come forward, identify yourselves at the podium, and you're welcome to speak on anything other than what was on the agenda. No takers.
Comments by Daviess Fiscal Court.
Commissioner Castlin.
Well, the only thing I have to say is I want to recognize Jason, our guy in the booth back here, Jason Simon.
Jason, stand up. Point the camera towards you. Point the camera towards you.
I wanted to point out. I'm just glad that you had him stand up, because I told him, I said, man, before you leave, you need to go get a picture taken in my office.
There you go.
He
will. Nobody will recognize him.
That's what he said. He won't be seen.
Yeah, he's camouflaged with that shirt.
Anyway, I wanted
Makeup's not too far from your office.
He's not far from it.
Okay.
Wanted to thank Jason for his many years of serving us in this capacity, and congratulate him on his new role. So,
Commissioners,
What is this new role?
anything else?
that's it.
Okay. Commissioner Wathen.
Yes, I have one thing. You know, oftentimes we talk about our budget and the fact that we're able to do what we can do and keep our budget low and not raise taxes because of the commitment of the employees. And I have what I consider a concrete example of that. And it's in how our workers' comp is calculated, the cost and the expense and the way and how they decide what our rate's going to be. And I think it started 8 years ago. We put together a safety committee, and we've done a lot of things through the safety committee. I don't want to get involved in all the description of it, but we've done a lot of things, and employees have helped a lot. And because of that, I was looking at there's a base rate. It's hard to explain, but basically what they do is they take the base rate. That's what they would charge us for our and apply that base rate to our rate for the workers' comp insurance. Well, what we have done, we have moved in the last 8 years from 0.96, in other words, 96% of that base rate is what we pay, all the way down to 0.73. We're currently at 0.73. We've gone as low as 0.71, and that's so important because that rate is what our expenses are based on. So that's just an example of what our employees have done. I may have confused that issue a little bit. It's kind of difficult to explain, but they have done a really nice job of creating a safe environment. It's good for everybody, and that's just a concrete example of one of the reasons why we can meet our budget and not raise taxes. So,
thank you, Commissioner. I think that's a very good point that you make, and all of our employees are owed a round of thanks for buying into the safety programs and the review committees. So that's a very good example. Anything else?
That's it.
Commissioner Koger.
Getting ready for Romp Week, and I'd like to thank our county workers out with all the rains we've had. The trees have blown down, and we've had a lot of calls on ditches and water overflowing. I've met with Mark on several occasions, and we just like to ask the people to be patient with us. We will get there, but the main thing is safety, and Mark, you guys done a great job. No one's gotten hurt, and that's always a big plus too. Thank you.
On that note, let's not forget to thank our friends with retired IBEW workers. They'll be out there, I guess, all 3 or 4 days providing electrical service and all those kinds of things. They do it every year. They do a great job. The only thing I've got to say is I want to offer Sheriff Keith Kane our congratulations for being named the Sheriff of the Year by the National Sheriff of the Year by the Sheriff's Association. That really is a big honor. It not only honors Keith, but I think it honors our community as well. So Keith, kudos to you. We have a special court meeting June the 26th at 11:30 a.m. A special court meeting June the 26th at 11:30 a.m. and we're going to be approving the fiscal year-end budget transfers. It says that will be the only thing on our agenda. There may be an addition to that agenda regarding the 80-20 bridge program. I'm not sure at the time. There has been some conversation that carryovers will not be allowed and be swept back in, and we've got quite a bit of money that we were going to carry over and use. I think the engineer has resolved that issue. But we also have a conversation with some of our state legislators in the morning. So there may be an additional, and since it's a special called meeting, the only thing that can be discussed are what's on the agenda. Our July 2018 court meetings have been changed. It's usually the first and third Thursday of the month. Our first meeting in July will be the 12th, July 12th at 5 p.m. July 12th at 5 p.m. And a lot of times when we change these meeting dates, we will change the time too to give people who might not can come at 5 p.m. the ability to come earlier. So our second meeting will be July the 24th at 10 a.m. July the 24th at 10 a.m. If there is no other business to be brought before Daviess County Fiscal Court without exception, we're adjourned.